Hope we're all doing really well this evening. This is the late show. I've not done one of these for a little while due to various reasons. I hope we're all doing really well this evening in whatever we're doing, whatever that we're up to. Please let me know where you're from in the world. We get so many different people on here now. I love to know where you guys are from. We are a Man United fan channel, but we are so much more than that. As I say, we have different fans on here as well who come on and have some amazing rival fans on here. Really respectful to that aim. I'll always ask for people to be respectful in the chat, be respectful to yourselves, be respectful most importantly to the community and the amazing moderators on here as well, and be respectful to me. Otherwise you will be removed, and I don't like to do it. One thing we do differently on here is that I try to read every single chat. Now this is a late show, so I do try to focus on you tonight. So get in your comments. This is your show. I've got some things that we can discuss, more of a talking point, but this is about you guys getting your comments and let me know about the sale. If you watched the video that I did today, if you watched the video that I did yesterday on it as well, why Sir Jim cannot afford to buy the club. International holding group as well, that's been today, that's come out today as the group, the consortium who are looking at that. If you want some more information on that, either watch the video that I did this afternoon or I can go through it tonight. Ugarte has come out as well, that Ugarte has a problem or had a problem after the Europa League final, and Amorim was not happy. We can talk about what was said on that as well, and the Liverpool game. So probably the Liverpool game is probably the most important thing tonight that I think we should probably start to talk about and think about. So yeah, let me know in the chat what you want to talk about. As I'll always say on here, I'm not the dictator of this chat. It's not my way, and that's it. This is an open conversation. This really is an open conversation, your chance to get your opinions in, and I will try to read the chat. So be careful what you say in the chat, because I absolutely will. Lawrence, what's up, champ? What's up, my friends? I hope you're doing extremely well tonight, Lawrence. And as I say, this show tonight is pretty much about you guys. I try not to have an opinion really tonight on these shows. This is your opinion tonight. I will come out with some stuff, and you know, we can go from there. So let me know how your evening is doing. Let me know, you know, what's up in your lives. I'm just going to clean my glasses as we talk, because you know we have no airs and things on here. So Liverpool, let's talk about Liverpool game. I think that's probably the right place to start this evening. So I'd love to know in the chat. Just played a five-a-side, Lawrence. Hope you won. Not played five-a-side for absolutely years. Is it the like the rubber crumb stuff, or is it the sort of like just the normal like AstroTurf, where if you slide you get that, you know, you get an absolute massive graze down the side of your leg? They're awful. Yeah, I've not played five-a-side for a very long time. I think fitness wise, I think I'd be absolutely fine, because I do run quite a bit, so I think I'd be fine. But I think my footballing skills probably well behind me. But you know, maybe one day. It was 4G, so the rubber surface. Yeah, cool. Yeah, let me know if you won. We were losing, so change the formation, because that's what you do when you're losing. You adapt. And like a certain somebody, Lawrence, you are already, my friend. You are bringing it to the show tonight. I love it, absolutely love it, my friend. And again, get your opinions in on this tonight. And again, football's back, so get your opinions on Amorim as well. It's been nice not to talk about him for the last week. So again, tonight, getting your opinions on that as well. We can talk about that. I've got my opinions on that as well. So yeah, get in your stuff. Not Brett May. Welcome, my friend. He says hi. Can't wait for the Liverpool spank United 5-0. Anything's possible. Anything is possible. So tonight, I'm not really going to try and come back. I want you guys to get in your opinions and let me know in the chat what you think about the game. Whether you're a Liverpool fan, you guys on here, I absolutely love how respectful you are. I love the banter. Brilliant fans. Liverpool. So where do we go on this one? So let's start off with Ugarte. So I think that after a look at this, have you pre-ordered tissues for Sunday? Samuel, it depends on what I'm supposed to do with the tissues, my friend. I'm guessing you mean for crying, right? So look, Samuel, I am prepared. I am prepared for what is to come. Nothing surprises me, Samuel. Did you see Villa banned Maccabi fans? I didn't see that at all. No, I didn't. I'm sure there's a obviously there are reasons for that, but no, I didn't see that at all. So, I know these things cross the borders, don't they? So Liverpool, where are we? So I think so. Cunha, Casemiro. Honestly, I'm hoping for a 2-1 United win. I'll have to check it out, mate. I literally haven't seen any TV tonight. I've been putting the kids to bed, doing food, did this, and I should have maybe checked the news before I came on. But thank you for the update. So Cunha, Casemiro went to Brazil. Thank you, Ugarte. Did he go to Uruguay as well? So Casemiro apparently may not start the game. Thank God. I'm not going to beat around the bush here. And I'm going to say thank God. I'll be happy if he doesn't start in that pivot. Now Ugarte, apparently, there was a live show. I think it was. I can't remember where it was. Somebody in the chat may let me know, but there was one of the, was it Manchester Evening News or somebody along those lines did a live show where it basically said that after the Europa League final, something more important, Wayne says, listen to Ricky Hatton's the cause of his death verdict. Yeah, I did hear. I can't repeat it on here. Otherwise, the video will get banned, which is shocking and dreadful. Brought back the memories of my best mate, Wayne. One of the things I'm passionate about after a brush myself, I do have a mental health condition. I've not really spoken about it too much on here. I think I have alluded to it before. I've had my own brush with things like that as well. I'm still here by luck. I absolutely I read that, and it's an epidemic, if that's the right word. It's not something that's spoken about enough. It is horrific. November is just around the corner as well. I'm an advocate for men's health as well, particularly mental health. There's too many young men that this happens to. There's too, we say young men, but it's men of our age, well, of my age, particularly. I know that from firsthand experience. It's horrific. It is horrific. How many? It doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter what job you do. Doesn't matter where you're from. It can absolutely touch anybody. Now, of course, it goes on both sides, but I think men particularly suffer from it, and I agree, Wayne. It is. I mean, I have an illness which I deal with every single day. Doing this is therapy for me as well. So I absolutely am an advocate for this sort of stuff, and it's really, really important as well. But yeah, I sort of suspected it, but I didn't think it would be that. But yeah, I mean, horrific time for the Hattons. I know for his son. I mean, I think his wife, absolutely horrendous. So my thoughts are with with them. Really, I've been thinking about that quite a lot today, Wayne, as well. Horrific, mate. And anybody that's been through it, anybody that's come out, it's a constant fight. It's a constant fight. So yeah, Wayne. I mean, yeah, I think that's an amazing topic to bring up tonight, and I think there needs the stigma around it as well needs to be brought down. I think the stigma around what happens to men, because we are supposed to be strong and we're supposed to be leaders, and it's absolutely awful. You can't see it by looking at you. You wouldn't think exactly, my friend. You wouldn't see it. There are past traumas that have happened to me. Things that shouldn't happen to little boys. It is horrific. And the only way to really deal with it from me is is to basically talk about it. So yeah, it is it's horrendous, and then you come through it, and then it is a cry for help. And sometimes you get that. I was very, very lucky that mum was a cry for help. And I managed to get the help. Some people don't get the help, and then it's far too late. So, I think that's an amazing thing to bring up tonight, and I think it's absolutely the right thing, my friend. So, yeah, horrific stuff. So, on to just to lift the mood, and it's not to take away from that, because it is really, really important, and all this football stuff pales into comparison to all that sort of stuff. But I think it's important as well to as much as to respect people in terms of that sort of stuff as well. But I think it's also, as a mental health for me, is to sort of talk about this stuff, maybe try and have a little bit of a laugh, but absolutely bringing your stuff tonight. So Liverpool, Wayne, Liverpool. Where are we on it? So Martin Fay said started studying demonology. And I'll need my holy cross. I mean, Jesus, mate, that is some deep stuff. I'm loving this show tonight already. We've had a great start to the show, and then we absolutely have to recognise really important things as well. And then Martin comes in with the demonology. Absolutely, we go all over the shop tonight. This is what this show is about. This is more about having a laugh whilst talking about football stuff. So Liverpool, Wayne. Liverpool, where are we on this? So from a United perspective, let's go through it. So Casemiro, I don't think is going to start the game. He went to Brazil. The fact that he's going to Brazil and the fact that he's probably going to go to the World Cup baffles me completely. But that is what it is. I think Ugarte comes in. There's been a lot of talk about Ugarte after the Europa League final, how he fell out with the coach. I'm hoping, Wayne, that it should be a close game, but I'll get on to all the connotations as we do on here. We have to absolutely look at every which way. So apparently, and this should make some people laugh, right? And it made me laugh, actually. So apparently, I might need those skills to get the Glazers out, mate. Look, hopefully, I think you should do. I think you should definitely, get I don't know what the demon equivalent is to. You can get some sort of spell book or something. So apparently, Amorim, and I think this is really, really funny. So Amorim apparently said to Ugarte after the final, "You are not the player that I had at Sporting." I love that, because, imagine if Ugarte had have turned around and said, "Well, actually, mate, you're not the manager you were at Sporting." I just find it, if that's true, absolutely ridiculous. Now, obviously, what that means is that there are leaks. So once again, before an important game, it almost feels like people want United to lose, right? The media want United to lose because it suits the rhetoric of United are going down, right? What the media want is they want United to collapse. They want United to go get spanked 7-0 because it sells papers. what the media want with this game is they want Amorim to be back on the chopping block. So they can once again, push the stories, push the rhetoric again. It doesn't serve the media well for United to be doing well. It doesn't serve them. It doesn't serve for them to sell papers. Doesn't sell for them to sell clicks. Now, what's wrong about that in some respects is that if Liverpool were to win 5-0 and romp the game, and they played amazingly well, that would be overshadowed by the fact that we lost. Now, how wrong is that? So, I think that this whole Ugarte thing to come out now is a way to derail the club. Is a way to almost kind of start to put the negative spin in it, so it feeds through to the players. Martin says, "Yes, mate. I'm praying." I really hope so. Jubac says Menu should start. I don't disagree with that. So I think if we look at a top level before we talk about the team, and I want to know who you think should start in the team, I'll tell you what I think will happen as well. So I think this really, really depends for me on what Liverpool we get. Now, the reason I say that there were three things here really. Is number one, a derby throws all format out of the window as it should. Fergie, for all his winningness and for all his success and for all the things that he did, even when Liverpool were not in their pomp, it was still a difficult place to go. They beat us. His record I don't think is particularly good. So Liverpool have shown through the years that despite maybe not being as successful as they should have been, they still were up for this game. Now, United, my worry is that you look at the City game. Now, I've seen people go out on a limb and say, "Oh, I've got a feeling about this game. I've got a feeling that we're going to win." Grace, welcome to the chat, legend of the show. Why is Amorim using Casemiro over Ugarte? If you want to legs in the midfield, Casemiro is also leaving at the end of the season. Wouldn't you want a partner? Wouldn't you want to play players that have a future? Partnership, Usman says, despite all the negativity around United, don't you think you're going into this slight favourites? No, 100% not, my friend. No, I don't think that. That's an interesting, Usman. That is an interesting take on it. Interesting take, and we can come back to that as well. And tonight, this show is not about me necessarily coming back on the things you say. As you know, I respect the comments. I will give some thoughts on that. Do you think you'll start the new keeper, Wayne? Yes, I do. I really, really hope he starts Lamens, because I just think I don't see the point. I think Sunderland was a good game to bring him in for. I think Lamens should start. I'd absolutely start him. So Grace, I think that's a very good question. I think the reason why Amorim, I think there were two reasons here, and you can give me your opinion on this, Grace, as well. Is that I think Amorim starts Casemiro. Is he proving a point? Is he proving a point to the footballing side to say, look, you didn't get me the midfielders. This is the crap that I have to work with. Casemiro against most teams, he looks like he's running in sand. Bearing in mind the Liverpool midfield, even if they're not playing particularly well, they've got legs in that midfield and they will absolutely run rings. Not only do we have to worry about a pivot, two players in the midfield, Amorim needs to take one of the centre-backs to step in. And my worry, and I'll give you my concerns about that, because then that leaves Luke Shaw as a left-sided centre-back, because Luke Shaw will not step into the midfield. That pivot, that double pivot, not only do we not have energetic midfielders, athletes in there, we've got Casemiro, who I don't think will start, by the way. Casemiro, potentially, who could start. I don't think he will, but he could. Who is, 34 years old, no pace anymore. He's always a yellow card away from a red card. And Bruno Fernandes, who's not an 8. So you've got not a number 8. who doesn't really know what he's doing there. Casemiro, who's got no legs anymore, going to go to Anfield with that against Liverpool, who probably have one of the best midfields. Ludicrous. So you can argue, Grace, that is he trying to prove a point? And if he is trying to prove a point, then that goes to back what I say about him is that he's putting his own agenda before the club, and I'm not okay with that. Now, could it just be that Ugarte hasn't actually done what he needs him to do? Is it the fact that Ugarte has been so bad because we don't see the training? Is it fair to say that Ugarte has been so bad that Casemiro gets over him? And from what I've seen of him, I'd have to tend to lean towards that. I think Casemiro's been shit. I think Casemiro has been absolutely awful. I just don't think he's been good at all. So I think it's more so been the fact that Casemiro has probably been the more steady Eddie, and he's a senior player. So I'm hoping that Ugarte, I think Ugarte has to play in this game. If you're playing a midfield pivot, you've got to have legs in there as well. Now, I'll get through one of the chats and then we'll get through. Grace says we are favourites. We will smash them 7-0. I'm loving the confidence. Which would you pick to start, Cunha or Mount? It's Cunha for me. I like Mason Mount. But Cunha for me in this game. I think Mason Mount will start because Cunha's gone to Brazil and they tend to get a lot of time off. Now, I think there are a couple of players who are not training, trying to sort of get back fit for the game. Not that they're injured, but they've just come back from Brazil. Mazraoui's back, by the way, as well. So Mazraoui is back. Martinez is back, but he's not going to play in that game. I would pick Cunha for that game. Martin says, it will be sad to see I'd give Liverpool a game and collapse again against the smaller teams. Exactly, Martin, exactly. Thomas Mauser says, I will hope there will be no 7-0 once again. Also, Shesko and Cunha will start, in my opinion. Ahmed and Mbeumo will be on as well. Interesting. Do you not think, though, he can't work with Ugarte and Mainu, who are good players? He's not a very good coach. I think, Grace, as an opinion, I don't share it. I think he is a good coach. I think he needs, and we've spoken about this many times, in my view, he needs specialist players. I don't think he hasn't been given his players. I don't believe he has. But there's an argument. Why hasn't he improved these players? Now, there is a question mark here. And I do agree with you, Grace. Why is he not playing Mainu and Ugarte, who are midfield players, and Fernandes in that 8 position? Grace, I cannot disagree with you. I do think Mainu and Ugarte would work better in that. Look, if we're playing a pivot against Liverpool, one of the best midfield, one of the best pound for pound team, you'd have to play a pivot. You've got to play legs in there. Wayne says, how do you think he will play the system, still keep to his guns, or play something different? I think he'll go counter-attack. I think he'll play I think he'll play a back 5. I think, okay, so let's get on to the team. I will get on to the team. Dino Hughes, legend of the chat. How are we doing, JB? We're doing very well. I hope you are as well. Usman said, my reasons for United being favourites are threefold. Usman, I love this, my friend. Liverpool have had a few key injuries. United are actually in better form and playing well. Interesting. Liverpool will be under lots of pressure as Arsenal will win. Interesting. And Usman, I really like when people give context for their answers. Valid reasons. Valid reasons. I think that this is where I'm at on it, and I will come back up to Wayne's point as well. Is that if Liverpool, all their players are on form, right? They're playing well and they're all on form and our players are on form and playing well, Liverpool blow us away every single day of the week purely because of the talent and the players that they have. Now, I think it is fair to say that Liverpool haven't been playing particularly well. They've still been winning games. I think that is the point to note. This is a derby. Liverpool will be up for this derby. But if Usman are carrying their form, as you say, if they're carrying their form into this game, and it's not particularly good, and we can build on Sunderland, then I think we've got a chance of playing well. Look, anything is possible, but I'm happy with walking away with a draw. And it sounds pathetic, and I hate saying it, but I don't trust these players. I do not trust these players. In fact, I don't trust this coach. I don't trust him to do the right thing. But I think you make a good point, but it really depends on Liverpool that come back. If we're seeing Liverpool have turned a corner, City weren't playing well. They were there for the taking. City, when they played us, were shit. City weren't great. They counter-attacked us. They weren't great, but they pissed all over us. We were awful. And if we get that performance again, we're going to get turned over. So I like the reasons. I think they're valid reasons, but I think we need to hope that happens. Wayne, what do I think he'll play? I think he'll play counter-attack. I think he'll play a back five. I think he plays Dorgu. Delo will play. I think Delo will play as long as Delo is not injured and recovered from international break. I think he'll play. I think he'll go sort of defensive, and he tends to like him there and favourites FC. Like, I'm not going to hide away from the fact that it is. He's going to play. He's going to make his first mistake, and I think he's going to play Luke Shaw. I think he'll play Luke Shaw left-sided centre back. Yoro, and I'm hoping that it's Yoro and Delict. Lemens will play in goal. So look, I think Yoro will start, Delict will start, and Luke Shaw will start. I think that's his first mistake. I think Dorgu and Shaw, Liverpool will target that side, and Luke Shaw will get found out again. This could be horrific for Luke Shaw. This could be absolutely horrific. But I do think we'll play that counter. I think we'll play Ugarte, and I think we'll play Bruno Fernandes again in the two centre midfielders. I think he'll play quite compact, and then I think he'll play Mbumo. I think he'll play Mason Mount. I want him to play Cunha. I think Cunha's perfect for this game, the way he picks up the ball and the way that he drives, and Shesko. So I think that's what he'll do. I think we'll be compact. I think we'll play on the counter. I think he'll set up not to lose. The problem with that is that if Liverpool score first, I wonder what that will do for the mentality of these players. So, but Usman, you do make a good point. If either Casemiro or Ugarte leaves, Believer from Brighton will be a good signing and replacement as well. I'm thinking United will be heading to Europe next season. I'm hoping so. Right, Thomas, again, my friend, I'm not here tonight. This is your show. This is your opinions. I'm happy to read them out. Apparently, Believer is now off the table. They are not off the table, but Believer is basically not high up. Brighton still want 100 and something million for him. They can jog on. Wharton apparently is the one they're turning their attention to. Anderson looks like City are sniffing around him as well. Look, we had an opportunity. Casemiro should be gone. However, there is a rumour going around that Casemiro is going to be offered a new contract. I mean, that would just be, oh my God, that would just be horrific, and I will lose my shit. That will be absolutely horrific. I think we missed the boat. I think there was opportunities last season to do stuff, and I think we blew it. Do I think we'll do something in the next window? Look, there's talk of James Garner coming back for 9 million. I think whatever we do, I think we'll get a midfield player, but it's going to be cheap. It's going to be cheap. We're not doing a Belieber in the next window. We're not doing a Wharton. We're not doing an Anderson or Stiller. We will do a Gallagher on loan, and or we'll do a Garner buy for 9 million. So I think we'll do cheap, and I think we'll try to limp over. So Thomas, to go back to European next season, my friend, I don't see it. I don't see how we get European football. Look, with Casemiro in a pivot, Bruno Fernandes, the inconsistency, I don't see it. I don't see it. Look, I hope I'm wrong, Thomas, and I really, really, really hope you're right. I just don't see it, my friend. Grace says, I will wait. I would wait till this summer, and hopefully Bruno leaves and build a proper midfield two rather than bringing a partner for Bruno, and he'd be left there on his own. I think we need a midfield three. I think we need three. I think we need 2 first-team midfielders, and I think we need a third. I think we need or we promote. Look, I think we need people in that midfield. I think Amarin leaving himself light in that midfield. I think we also need maybe some sort of winger. We need a right wing back. We need a centre back. We need 2 midfielders. I'd argue 3. We need another striker. Thomas says, will Fredrickson leave on free or loan, kept his chance to play in the first team? The problem is, Thomas, is that Amarin doesn't seem to like the youth. Look, I am one of these people, as I've said before, the youth is not the answer. Okay, it takes, look, these youth players, you can't bring them into this side hoping that they're going to do something, and unless they are a Wayne Rooney or a Yamal, which is very, very rare. They can't come into this side and make an impact and be consistent. Now, Rooney was probably the most consistent kid in football. To come through at 16 years old and be consistent all the way through his career. That's why Rooney's career sort of towards the end fizzled out, because he played so much from the age of 16 all the way up to like 30. That's why it fizzled out. So do I think Fredrickson will go on loan? I think he will. I think if he's an ambitious player, he's going to push for a loan. So I'd hope he gets his first team chance. I think Isaac will be a threat. Wayne, I agree with you. Look, Ekitike. Look, how is Luke Shaw going to handle Ekitike and Isaac? I just don't know. Salah, I just don't know. I have no idea. So Bosley as well. I mean, I think the weak link Liverpool is that back four. I do think Van Dijk can be got at. I can't remember. Is it Konate or whoever it is playing as the other centre back? I think they can be got at. Alisson's out, so I do think the back four, the centre backs, the keeper, can be got at, but it really depends. And up front, Salah, Ekitike, Isaac. I mean, take your pick. I mean, someone says if United beat Liverpool, they can win the league. No joke. Just wish we bought a decent midfielder. And no, sorry, Mainu and Ugarte are dreadful. That was a midfield versus Grimsby. Mainu is a AM. Okay. Interesting. Someone. Again, this is not. Again, this is your show to get in your opinions. Interesting opinions. I do like different opinions. I don't share that we can win the league. Look, I admire, and look, someone, if we won the league, I would applaud you. I would absolutely applaud you. Feel free to come back on, and I'll do something. I'll give you a shirt, right? If we win the league, come back on here, and I will gift you a United shirt or a shirt that you've picked, right? Because if you call that now and we win the league, my friend, I will more than happily do that, right? I don't share that optimism with you. I'd love to, but I don't. I agree with Mainu. I agree that Mainu had his opportunity against Grimsby. That was his audition. And in that game, Mainu couldn't run a bath. I mean, Mainu was awful. Ugarte was awful as well. But, what's the lesser here? Is it, do we need a combination? Do we need a Bruno and a Mainu? And I do take the point about Mainu being a number 10. I do take the point. He probably is more of an AM, but the thing about Mainu is he's so young. Mainu can be a CM. I think naturally he plays in that pocket. I do think you're right. I think he plays in that if you have a pivot, I think he plays in front of a pivot. I don't think he's necessarily a number 10. You could argue those number 10s, are they AMs? I think those number 10s are a little bit of like a hybrid. I think they're more, I don't think they're traditional attacking midfielders. I think they're more second strikers. I think they're more left wing forwards, right wing forwards. But I think you're right. I think Mainu is that spearhead of that pivot. So I think, when you're talking about playing a 3, I think you play 2 centre midfielders, and then you either play Fernandes in there as more of that attacking midfield role, or I think you play Mainu in there as well. So I think you're right. Ugarte, I think, is terrible. I would sell him, but what's worse? Casemiro, who can't run anymore. Fernandes has no idea what he's doing in there. Whatever we do, the midfield is absolutely screwed. Thomas says, remember when Gerrard comes off the bench in 46 minutes and he was shown a straight red card? Yes, I do. I remember that game. He came on and, absolutely took somebody out and was off. This is what happens when you play 3 centre-backs. You lose out on a midfielder. Exactly. If Mazraoui is back, maybe I change it. Does he play Mazraoui as either the right wing back, or does he step in? Does Mazraoui play in the centre back position with the thought to step into the midfield position? I don't know. Look, this is we're going to see what Amarin's got again. We are going to see that. Martin Fay says Beckham free kick and Gary Pallister header, Liverpool at 97. I was really young in 1997, but I got goosebumps that time. Who I can't not, mate. I am 42. In 97, I would have been 14. Is that right? Yeah, I would have been 14. Pallister was one of my favourite defenders. In fact, if I had, which I will do, spoiler alert, I am going to do my all-time 11, and Gary Pallister is in it. Now, when I do my all-time 11 of this club, it's not necessarily based on the best players. It's based on the players that are important to me and the players that I felt had an impact on me, and the players that I loved. I pretty much watched from 88. Pretty much watched United build the team, and he was one of those defenders. Very very quick as well. People forget Pallister was rapid as well. So I'm going to do that, and spoiler alert, Pallister is in there as well. Absolutely amazing. Kirk says, let's not get too giddy, lads. Yeah, Kirk, I mean, I am realistic here, my friend. Love Mainu in his first season. It's fallen off, but there's no way he should play as CM in this system. You're mad if you think we should play him Ugarte CM. Casemiro is our best CM currently. The sad thing is, Casemiro is, but Casemiro's shit. Like, I agree. I do agree. But this is how bad it is. 34-year-old, super slow Casemiro. Let's be honest here, he's slow. Who's not very good. We tried to sell him, and he's still getting in midfield. I agree with someone. I do. We go 1-0 down early, they will batter us. I do agree. I do agree. Delo has to play. Grace, you need to take your what's the word? I know you love him. And you fancy the pants off him, Grace, but Delo, look, Delo is not great. Favorite FC, will he play? Probably. I'd rather see Mazraoui and Mazraoui. Kirk says Dorgu won't start. Maybe he won't. But I think he needs energy in there. I think it's anybody's pick. You could go Delo, Mazraoui there as well. Maybe Dorgu doesn't start. Maybe Mazraoui does. Maybe he does do that. Mazraoui on the left, Delo on the right, Delict down the middle, Luke Shaw left, which would be horrific, and Yoro. If Maguire starts, forget about it. Dino, JB question on Bruno. Do you think it's the manager playing him in the midfield, or do you think Bruno has requested to be pushing back? Maybe the legs are going. No. I think it's the manager. I don't think Bruno. Look, Bruno Fernandes in an interview said that he would play goalkeeper, left back, centre back. Pile of shit. What a pile of shit. I don't think he is. I think that the manager has put him there. I think Bruno Fernandes, he knows what he is. He's that free roaming number 10 role, attacking midfielder. You could sort of argue he's that not quite a second striker. He's that kind of AM free role position that sits in front of a three midfield. This is Amorim. I think, Dino, where this has come from, I think Amorim knew he wasn't going to get midfielders. So to hedge his bets, I think he kept Fernandes in there, and I think Fernandes is doing a job for him. So I absolutely think at this point, this is down to Amorim, and Amorim's going to die on that sword, and Amorim has to absolutely live with that, and it's on him. He will go with the same team as Sunderland. I think the only caveat is I think Casemiro might be too tired to play. That's the only thing that I've heard. I don't disagree. with that. I think he might do. I think that was the tester, I think, so Kirk. I think you could be right. Lemens will start once again rather than Binder. Thomas, I hope he does. I really hope he does. Someone says, I like your channel, but you've lost it. Shaw is our best defender. He's been our best player this season. I'm sorry, someone. I disagree. I've watched Luke Shaw all season. The amount of times that he's been at fault for goals, the amount of times that he's been caught out is ridiculous. I disagree. Look, this is the beauty of this channel. This is the beauty of opinion, is that we don't have to agree. I think Luke Shaw is dog shit. I've seen it, the amount of times that he's been caught out of possession. I believe one of the Fulham goals, one of the two of the City goals or one of them is his fault. He's too slow. One-on-one, he gets absolutely pasted. Down the side that he plays, he gets absolutely destroyed. Now, his positional and his one-to-one when somebody's squaring up to him, he's pretty good. But there's no way Luke Shaw should be getting back into this squad. I fundamentally disagree with you, but I absolutely am not going to say you're wrong. You watch football in your way. I've seen some things from Luke Shaw this year. I've watched him all pre-season, and pre-season he was dog shit as well. So I'm sorry, I disagree. I think Luke Shaw has been absolute shit, and I don't want him anywhere near this team. Wayne says, I think we missed Trent not being there. He always used to whip good balls in, but not all fans would agree with me because of what happened. Now, Wayne, look, I'd like to get your opinion on this, Wayne, because, I think there are a lot of fans that say that they hate him now. Do you think it's this passion? I mean, I think with Trent, the problem with Trent is I think he probably fooled the fans. I think what Trent should have done is come out early doors and basically said, look, I love the club, but I want to experience a different club. It's not like he's gone to Everton. It's not like he's come to us. It's not like he stayed in the Premier League. I just think the biggest thing is that I think it's more so the disrespect to Liverpudlians. I know, Wayne, you're in Essex, my friend, but and I'm not disputing your feelings at all. But I don't know. Liverpudlians, and I don't know if you are at all. I think it cuts a bit deeper. A local lad who's supposed to be, playing for the club. I just think it was the way that he did it. I think he was a bit sneaky. But I look, the anger towards him. I mean, come on. I mean, look, one of the best players. He gave a lot to the club. Won leagues. I mean, look, I'm not in a position, because I don't necessarily know the ins and outs. So maybe you can tell me more. But from an outside looking in, I think it's an overreaction, to be fair. The one thing I will say that I do think Liverpool fans are pissed off about is the fact that you got little money for him, which I get it. But if it's about, look, I just wish, if it's about money, just be honest. If Liverpool fans are sort of out there, be honest about it. Is it about the money? Let's not be saying, that Trent left and he's not entitled to leave. I think he is. He's run the contract down. I suspect this is about money and not getting the money for the player. Let's just be honest about it. Michael says, yo, United guy. Hello, my friend. Adam Partridge. Hi, mate. You okay? I'm new to I'm a United fan. Adam, welcome, my friend. Legend of the chat, welcome, my friend. Please get in your opinions. I do try to read all the opinions out, my friend. And I hope you're doing really, really well this evening. Brighton won't do much. He's not worth that much. I agree. Zimmerman says hi. Wynn says Kane. I think you will land him. Interesting one. Someone says you've lost it again. Look, I did look. Someone, I don't think I have lost it. I watch football in a different way to you. I'm not calling your opinion out. If I was to flip it around, I would say you've lost it. Right? I fundamentally disagree with what you're saying, but I'm not going to call your opinion out. You watch football in a different way to me. I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm not saying that I'm correct. For how I watch football and how I see the game, go back and watch the goals. I've gone back and watched the goals. Luke Shaw has been at fault for many, many goals this season, and he has been shit. Casemiro is the best CM. Look, I'm not disputing that Casemiro is our best TM, but he's crap. Like, our centre midfield options are so bad. It's basically a bit like. Do you want to be kicked in the bollocks, or do you want to be punched in the face? Like, it is the lesser of those two. What is going to hurt less? I agree. Casemiro probably is our best CM, but he's still crap. Manu isn't probably not an 8. Bruno is playing an 8. Ugarte is being crap. So as a comparison, it's a bit like comparing your crappy auntie to your crappy uncle. They're both crap. Without him, CM, we were atrocious. But agreed. But what I'm saying to you is that as much as Casemiro I don't think is good, the other options are even worse. So Casemiro is terrible, but the worst of a bad bunch. Let's see on Sunday. Look, I will more than happy Luke Shaw play the game of his life. All right, more than happy for Luke Shaw to turn it around. If Luke Shaw plays better this season and becomes one of the best centre backs again, fantastic. Casemiro turns into prime Casemiro. Amazing. Sunday we win because of them too. I will praise them. Opinions are allowed to be changed, but as I've seen it and I've watched these goals many times this season, and I watched Casemiro, Sunderland, he was dog shit. He was so slow and potentially could have got another red card. Luke Shaw has been awful. I've watched goals, man. I've watched these goals, and if you look at Luke Shaw's positioning and some of the players, they've absolutely destroyed him for pace. There was one game, and I can't think which it was. and he was absolutely burnt for pace. So I disagree on Luke Shaw, but Casemiro, I take the point, but he's still crap, and the other midfield crap as well. And says, what CM and CDM would you take? Well, buddy, well, what I take? Look, I know realistically, okay, we want an Anderson type. Okay, we want a Wharton type. Now, for me, I think when you're looking at all round, I think Anderson, really fits that bill. My worry about Anderson is he going to turn into is it Kelvin Phillips? That's my worry. I don't think he will, but Anderson for me, I think as an all rounder, I think would be fantastic. I think for me, it's about pairings, right? So you could get an Anderson and a Steeler. You could get a Wharton and a Steeler. I'd love Anderson and a Wharton. But look, if you can get Belieber at a good price again, there's him as well. There's Agume. I don't know how good Agume is. Look, those are what I would be looking at. And look, I'm sure there are other defensive midfielders out there that again I would need to look at some of those stats. But I'm sure that if you're looking out that we can look beyond the Premier League, but I do think that we need a Premier League proven centre midfielder, defensive centre midfielder. But again, as I've said, Adam, what you got to think about here is the way that Amron deploys the CMs. He doesn't deploy them necessarily like a 6 and an 8. Maybe he does like a more defensive number 6 than an 8. But basically, what he wants is he wants them to run up and down. So think about wingers, right? But he wants those wingers in the centre of the park where they basically run up and down. So what he wants is he wants someone who can tackle. They don't have to be the world class ones, but as long as they can tackle, they can carry, they can ball carry, they can pass. Maybe you have one a bit more defensive than sort of other, but they run up and down. They run up. Imagine you've got flanks, center of the park. You run up and down the flanks. Now you've got room to go. Imagine you've got lanes and you can stay in those lanes, but he wants them to come up, support. He wants those channels. So I don't think it really necessarily matters about a CM or a CDM. I think he basically wants complete packages. So I think Anderson looks like the one that I would go for. Wharton as well. You could argue that as well. So I think he needs maybe a Wharton and a Steeler, a Wharton and a Anderson, and then maybe go and bring somebody through the youth like a Kone even. So I think he has to do something. G-Wax says we should sign Mokio for 20 million from Ajax for CM. He plays like Wharton and is promising talent at just 17. And again, look, we've just signed the other lad. That Colombian guy. What's his name? Oz something or other. Again, whilst I agree with you, I think we need to be looking at these. We need proven players. I've got no problem in bringing in these sorts of players, right? I've got no problem in bringing in these young players. But I think there's a myth. There's a myth in football that you can bring these youth players into men's teams. And I don't know if he's playing for Ajax. Now, Duac, you can educate me here, my friend. If he's already playing in the men's team, I think that would be an interesting one. But yeah, it's look, I'm all for bringing in different players from across leagues, cheaper price, because that's what that's what other clubs do, right? So why can't we do it? Adam says, I'm new to your channel, mate. Welcome, my friend. I'm going with a 1-1. Adam, I think I am with you. I do think I'm with you. I am with you on that one. I do think we're probably going to look to get in a draw. Wayne says, I think getting the Glazers out, you can definitely change the club. Alisson is always injury prone. The chances of winning the league this season is the same as our chance of winning the Champions League this season. Chris Blade says the team need players with high IQ. Simple as that. Chris Blade, I'm with you, mate. I've lambasted these players, called them out many, many times. These are low IQ players. They are. They've sacked many, many managers. Not all of them, because that's not fair, because I will be called out for that. But I think you're right. I think some of them are low IQ. I think some of them are just injury prone, and their bodies don't work the same as they did. But Chris, I agree with you, my friend. I was looking at Ronaldo's daily routine to keep his body in shape and keep his fitness up. Mate, he is Wayne. And this is why Ronaldo is still playing at the age he is. This is why he sets the standards. This is why he's one of the best players who has ever lived. Is because if you look at what he does, these are the standards. These are the reasons why Cristiano is Cristiano. And if more players did that, but that's what separates him. That's what separates winners. That's what separates world-class players. And this is why when he's a billionaire, this is why he's a billionaire football player, because of what he does. Casemiro, best transfer in United's history. Shaw is our best defender. I know, Dino. I think that's interesting. Andrew Edwards says, Shaw is awful. Play him and watch Salah show him up this season. I want Nick Shaw to play, and Bruno for that matter. Thanks, Andrew. Yeah, I mean, look, the fact that I've watched Luke Shaw so many times, absolutely awful. Blue Nose, legend, my friend. I hope you're doing extremely well. Hey, JB, hope you're doing well today, brother. As you know, I'm a Birmingham fan. Yes, I do. And watch EPL football and United. I can tell you now, the likes of Luke Shaw are Championship fringe players. I agree with you. I am not swayed by look. People are going to have their opinion. There's only one other person I've ever heard say that, and they're on a large channel, and they're slightly older. And I love his opinions, Ricky. I love Ricky's opinions. I do watch him sometimes. I think he's class, but I do suspect that person who thinks that Luke Shaw is very, very good is either Ricky in disguise or basically listens to every word that he says. He is awful. Luke Shaw is absolutely dreadful. Andrew says, a issue Liverpool fans have with Trent isn't that he left, is that he left for free. Exactly. Could have signed a 2-year deal, left on the cheap, and did it on a free is wrong. Andrew, that's exactly what I said, right? I think I agree with you. I think, look, when you're supposedly a Liverpool player and a Liverpool fan, right? This is what I would do. I would sign a deal to make sure that my club would get something for me. Whether it was 50 million would still be cheap. 100%. I agree. I do agree with you. I think Trent should have done that. Even if it was a 1-year extension, 2 years. Get something for you. You got to think, and I know Liverpool pay his wage because he plays for them, but the investment in him, the fact they've given him a chance, the fact that the fans adore him. If you're gonna leave, at least give the club something back. Dino says it's because Trent left homegrown. That's why they hate him now. If Gerrard had have left, he would have been hated. Maybe Dino. I think it's a interesting point. Please say Scouse up. Sorry. I will take that on board. Please say Scouse. Take it on board, my friend. It's not about the money. It's about the slow way in which it was done. I understand it sounds like it's the money, but it's the again, from Scousers, and I would absolutely do not want to insult anybody. is that I don't disagree. I do think it's a little bit about money. Look, Andrew, let's not pretend that it's not a percentage about money. It is sly. I do think it's sly. I absolutely think it's sly. But I also do think it's about money as well. I think it's more about respect. I do 100%, and it's very, very sly. He was leading the fans on, but I don't think it helped that he went for free either. So I do think it's a little bit about money, but I do think more than anything else, I do think it is sly. Coutinho and Suarez, for example, we all knew they were going, but they signed long-term deals, so the club had value in them, and they weren't local lads. And Andrew, I can't look. I think you're spot on. I do. Look. I do not disagree with that. I think if you play for a club and they've paid you, and the fans have taken you to the heart, the least you can do for the fans is give something back. Right? The fans that pay your wages, the fans that put your name on the back of their shirt, right? The least you can do, especially if you're a local Scouse lad, you see there, is that you give something back. Sign that deal, make sure that that you get something for your club, and be honest. I do think, Andrew, I think you're right. I think if Trent was a bit more open and honest and said, look, I'm going to leave on a free, maybe you guys would be a bit annoyed, but at least he'd been honest and upfront. Still not right, but I get it. You found my shoes yet? I haven't. Casemiro also not plays well because of stupid formation. Yeah. Can't find shoes. To your first point, I don't know why you're talking about Fergie. I have no idea why you're talking about Fergie, mate. That argument or that look, this is your show. You bring in your comments tonight. I'll read them out as much as I can. Look, I find that argument now a very, very not childish argument or not a childish thing to say. I just find it just very. It doesn't belong anymore. I mean, how many managers have we had? How long has Ferguson been gone? I mean, it's an era gone. So as much as I agree with that opinion, I can't disagree with it. I don't think that's the reason why we're crap. Bruno is not a captain of a Saudi club. I agree with you. Mate says he did leave on a free. That's why the fans turned against him. He could have signed a new deal on the club, but turned it completely down, which he did. Yeah, Wayne. Agreed, mate. Look, I bow down to you guys on Trent because I think as a club and as I'm not that close to it, but I know how I would have felt if you could have gotten some money. Look, for a Scouse lad who apparently loves the club, who's from that area, why wouldn't you want to give? Why wouldn't you be honest with your own fans? Why wouldn't you say, look, I want to go, but I am going to sign this deal, but I'm still going to go. Get some money back, get some money in so you can replace some players. As it transpires, Liverpool didn't apparently need the money. No, I'm kidding, of course, but yeah, you're right. Belieber is crap, so he wants what all the managers want. Anderson is wanted by Chelsea and City. He's not going to United, but chances of Wharton, Liverpool linked will have bigger issues in defence to resolve, I think. I think Anderson, I think you're right. I think Anderson's got City written all over that deal. I don't think he'll go to Chelsea. I think that he's got City. He's a City player. I really do think that. I think Anderson is a City player, and I do think that. Wharton, why would Liverpool go for what? Now, I know why they would, but I think Liverpool have got cash on the hip. I think they got cash on the hip. I think if you want Wharton, you'll get him. I think you'll get defenders as well. I think Guehi will come into the equation as well. So you could probably get Guehi on a free and then Wharton as well. So look, as I've said, I think that we have missed the trick. We've missed the boat on a lot of these players. Do I think we're going to get them? No, I don't. Dino says Christian Orixo. Yeah, that's him. That's him. Anything to eat, sir? I said hi. Do you think it's the best captain in? Who do you think is the best captain in the past? Gerald Keane. Ooh, that's a good question. Look, it's one of those questions, Wayne. I'm going to say Keane. I'm going to say Keane all day long. Doesn't mean that Stevie G, Slippy G, wasn't one of the best players to grace the Premier League. Had everything. The amount of times that man got Liverpool out of Sturp, FA Cup final, Champions League, winning goals. He was the epitome of your club. Epitome. But for me, it's Keane. It has to be Roy Keane. So for me, it's Keane. But Stevie G, absolute phenomenal player. If it says a lot when Ferguson tried to sign him. The cheek of Fergie to try to get him. It tells you everything that you need to know. And absolute, look, Stevie G, phenomenal player. But I'm never in 1,000 million years, no matter how much cash you put on the table, am I ever going to choose Stevie G over Keane? So for me, it's Keane. How are you going to stop King Mo adding to the 15 goals he scored against you? Joey Keaton, I don't know. Mate, I don't know. It's not going to be Luke Shaw. I don't know, my friend. That's exactly what I'm saying. If he said he was leaving on a free in Jan, it would have been the Trent. Yeah, we would have had Klopp, and it's the learning Spanish for 2 years to go. Look, Andrew, agree. JB, how long have I been gone? You've lost a shoe. Yeah, I have lost a shoe. Oh, yeah. That's because I've lost a shoe. Andrew, that's a good spot. That's a very, very good spot. I've lost a shoe because I wore it today. I lost a shoe because I went for a run today and I used those shoes. I did a 5K today at a tempo pace. And then I did like some slow stuff. Not that anybody cares. I'm going to put another shoe up there actually. Let me put up another shoe. Here we go. I'm going to put up another shoe. Here we go. Let's put up another shoe. There you go. Another shoe there. Yeah. So, but Andrew, I'm impressed. I'm impressed with the spot. Absolutely fantastic. Bruno says, I know why people are so miffed with Trent. However, I think as football fans, we tend to look backwards too much. Fergie, a great example. It's done. He's gone. No player is even bigger than the club. Agree with you completely. Agree. For now, Durex says, for now, what would help us is just playing Mainu in the midfield. I think even if Mainu is maybe not a midfielder in terms of an 8 or a 10, it gives you legs in that midfield. I mean, anything's better than Casemiro. Dino says, on your point, JB, they say certain players could play in any era. Maradona could, any manager manage it? Okay. That is a very, very good question, Dino. Who do I think could manage in any era? Difficult. Very, very, very difficult question. If somebody said Pep, right, so let me give you an example. If somebody said Pep, I would disagree. Because Pep needs a certain type of player and those certain type of players. So say, for example, you're talking about, say, let's go back to the 60s. You're talking about 60s, 70s, maybe 80s. Could Pep assemble? The problem is with Pep, could he assemble a team like he's got now? I don't know. I think Pep could go back maybe to the late 80s, early 90s, and if he could put the team together, but I don't think he could go back to the 50s, 60s, 70s. I think Fergie could. I strongly believe that Fergie could. I think if Fergie came back now, I think he could. Definitely, look, he did it in the 70s. I think he did it in the late 70s, early 80s, 90s, noughties, 10s. So Fergie. Outside of that, who else do I think could do it? Ancelotti, maybe. I think Ancelotti possibly could, because I think he's a very good manager of men. I don't know with people like Paisley. I'm just trying to think of all the coaches. Could Paisley do it? Could a Hansi Flick do it? Could Koeman do it? Just trying to think. Could Scolari do it? Could Van Gaal do it? I'm only coming to one conclusion, that it's Fergie. Maybe there's a recency bias here, but I think when you're looking at longevity of a coach who did it, he still won a cup 89. He still won stuff with Aberdeen. He did it through the 90s. He recycled and rebuilt many teams. If you're looking at an old school team that won the league in 92 and 3 with the likes of Steve Bruce, Robson was still in there, Pallister, Schmeichel, Mark Hughes up front, McClare, these sorts of players. And then you fast forward to that team of Ronaldo, Rooney, Tevez, no matter what we think about him, the contrasting styles and eras were not the same. So I think Fergie could do it. Other than that, let me know your opinions. Dino, I think that's a fantastic question. Bruno says 100% Keane. I love Stevie G, but Keane was an absolute animal and a big presence in the changing room. I agree. Keane is a better captain. Keane, for me, honestly, would have Vieira second. And he says Keane is a better captain for United. Stevie is better captain for Liverpool. Stevie was the better player. Don't give it a... Yeah, look, I think Roy Keane is very, very underrated. I do think people think that Roy Keane wasn't a great player. All he did was basically shout and scream. Stevie G was the better player. I think, okay, when I say better player, that's wrong. Stevie G was a better footballer all round. I don't think he was a better footballer. I think he had better attributes. I do think, better with the ball at his feet. But Roy Keane, people sleep on Keane all day long. His passing range was fantastic. Defensive midfielder, absolutely amazing. Would run through a brick wall. But I do lean towards Andrew saying, and I do think that that Stevie G, when you're looking at his attributes, I do think his skill level was better, and some of that attributes were better. But I also think Keane has some better attributes as well. Danny B, big up JB, big up my friend. Andrew Edwards says Keane had led a team of greats. Stevie rolled a team of misfits to a UEFA Champions League. Look, if Smeisa can score a goal, we had no right in winning. Have you ever looked back at the names in the 05 final? Mate, I watched that game. Now, I am embarrassed. I'm embarrassed to say this. I watched that game that game, and in the end, how could you not root for Stevie G and that team, right? I mean, was Bishkan playing in that game? You had, was it Finnan? Was Honcho playing in the game? You had Smeisa with that amazing goal. Barosh, was he still there as well? Yeah, I mean, brilliant. That was. If you're looking at a game as a neutral fan, even as a United fan, watching the 05 final was brilliant. I watched it in a pub as well. It was absolutely amazing. Stevie G was Liverpool's best player because he always put in 100% every week. Yeah, no argument here from me at all. Blue Edit says, hi there, JB. I'm currently in another city. The hotel and Wi-Fi is so bad, but can't tune in today. We'll be back on Sunday. No problem, my friend. Thank you for checking in. Always a pleasure to hear from you. Blue Edit says, Andrew, I'm confused. How can you say a team of Carragher, Hupia, Gerard, Alonso, Risa, Luis Garcia, Milan Barros? Yeah, well, when you put it like that for the time, hot take, Pep in charge of this United side hot take, Pep in charge of this side may get relegated. He would have no effing clue how to work with these players. He'd probably retire after the first training session. I agree, Andrew. I really, really do, my friend. How many teams have changed their badge? Hardly any, but City have twice. The question was better, Captain. No. It was Keane for me. The ironic thing is Keane at Forest played as a mirror of what Stevie G was. Was only when Keane went to United he changed his game. A very underrated footballer. I agree. Chip plays legend of the channel. Hi JB. Hello. I'll leave you talk about that. So Liverpool game. Again, I will do the press conference. Will be interesting tomorrow. But yeah, I mean, looking forward to it. I'm not, and I am. You know, I think as long as United are competitive, would I be happy with that? Look, I take what I can take. Anything other than a loss. The only thing I am going to say on it as well, Amorim gets beat and he gets absolutely smashed. I think that, the knives are going to be out again. He needs to draw or he needs a win to quell and keep down that fire. But we'll see, and we will. I'll be having a watch along. Yes, I am, Dino. I'm going to do a watch along for that game as well. So I'm going to be all over that. I am going to do one. So come here, and we can watch it together and commiserate. Wayne says the best Champions League comeback ever was Liverpool and the Barcelona game. Again, I'm not. Oh, Andrew, oh God. Oh my God, you're gonna come in. We can suffer together. Exactly, Dino. We can suffer together. Unless you score, then I'm hiding from Scott. I know, right? I know. Yeah. Let's hope it can be a competitive game. Yeah. Or Scott is not going to be happy, is he? Wayne, look, there was it the PSG Barcelona game? I think that was an amazing game as well. Liverpool, the final, Barcelona Champions League comeback as well with that Trent corner, absolutely fantastic. Look, I do think English teams have probably been in some of the best comebacks as well. I think you can take your pick. I do. But I do agree that was a fantastic comeback, especially against that side as well. Brilliant. I don't think it will be 7-up. Oh, Wayne, I hope it's not. I don't think I could take it. Not getting those FIFA points. Look, I'll give him the FIFA points. As long as we win, I'll give him some FIFA points. Right, what is everyone's prediction? What scores are we going for? I'm an optimistic 1-1. My memory now remembers it is a Milner corner. Who is this Trent lad? Yeah. It's really easily to get confused, isn't it? It is really easy to get confused, with this Trent lad. Love it, my friend. I have to go 4-1 if Bruno plays, 2-1 if he doesn't. 2-0 United. Call me crazy, but I'll remind you on Sunday night. Please do. Please do. Please do. Please do. I would. Milner plays it quickly to Origi. Yeah, he does. I don't know who this Trent lad was. he sounds like a right plonker. Look, I don't trust these players. What do I think? I think best scenario, my heart says 1-1, my head says 2-1, 3-1. If Liverpool score 2 goals, I think we capitulate. Look, this could be anything. This could be anything. It depends on Liverpool. This does. I'd love to be wrong. I'd love Blue Nose to be right. If we are back-to-back wins, then we can build something. We can build something from there. So I have to be true to myself, and I have to say I think that we'll lose 2-1. I think it's a loss. But Blue Nose, come back. Maybe you can get some FIFA points as well. I'll be giving out FIFA points. But yeah, I mean, look, mate. I do hope you're right, but I think Wayne is probably spot on the money. Look, I would take a close 2-1, which is ridiculous for me to say that. I demand we win the league every season. I demand, not because I'm crazy, just set standards. But walking away with a good 2-1 win can build on something. So I best case for me is a draw. Worst case, I can't even think about it. JB, do you know that Michael Oliver is the main ref? Versus yes, he is. Yes, he is. Yes. I don't think we win. I don't think we win. I don't see a scenario. Look, unless Liverpool have an absolute stinker. I mean, from Salah. Look. Szoboszlai, Salah, Wirtz, Isak, Ekitike. What are the chances that all those players, you've got Chiesa to come in there as well. You've got what's his bloody name? The Argentinian lad. Bloody hell, my old man brain is gone. You're going to have McAllister, right? You've got all these players. I don't know if Frimpong's back as well. You've got all these players in this squad. What are the chances that all of them, Isak, and just listen, Isak, Ekitike, Salah, Wirtz, and I know what people think about Wirtz, McAllister, Szoboszlai. I mean, like, we're going to go to Anfield with a midfield pivot of probably Ugarte and Fernandez. And then, I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, just saying those names. I mean, look, if we come away from Anfield with a draw, I'm happy. But Kelvin, I agree with you, my friend. If we are 2 or 3-1 down by half time, who will find me in the corner rocking and scratching my head to myself, I think I'll be doing that as well. It's always Sunday, a game and every Saturday. It is DM says, hello, Richard Gear. Hello. DM, it's very, very nice to say, because I normally get called all sorts of different stuff. So I will take that tonight. Appreciate the kind words. Thank you so much. It's funny that every club hates Oliver except City. He can't be biased to us both. Michael Oliver hates our club to the core of his soul. He'll destroy us. But so Casemiro went to Brazil. Look, Casemiro is old man, right? He can't go to Brazil or wherever he played, get on a long flight, back. He's a little bit too old now. So I think Casemiro, he's jet lagged. That's what I'm assuming. If we had a lot of rain on the way, it could be called off. Oh, do you know what? A postponement, I would take a draw or a postponement, 100%. He is too old for planes. There's ways to lose, and if we are the best, he'll give it everything. I will be okay with that. Exactly. It's actually bad to predict a red card, but I'll bet he'll book one of us. Delo got the last card, didn't he? Yeah, I think Casemiro. Look, what I mean, okay, to be fair to me here, is he's too old to be able to. Right, imagine when you're a younger player, you can fly here, you can have little sleep, you can do all this stuff. But a 34-year-old prime athlete flying on a reasonably long flight to Brazil, playing the game, flying all the way back with those old legs, mate, he's too old for all that. He's too old to be jumping on planes. He's too old, not jumping on planes, but he's too old to be like, playing football and then flying here and everywhere, mate. He needs to look after his old body. You know, that's where I'm at, mate. Yeah, I'm on that. I think the Premier League clubs are gonna let United win because they don't want to see that guy not cutting his hair till United win 5 in a row, mate. He's not cutting his hair all season. He's not cutting his hair all season, mate. He's not. He's gonna look like some sort of survivor on an island. Bloody hell! I've just looked at the time. United beat Liverpool 2-0 in the Premier League. Sending cookies to everyone who can tell me the year, the goal scorers. No googling. I've just looked at the last time United beat Liverpool 2-0 in the Premier League. Sending the last time we won 2-0. Is it something like, are we going back 90 something, 97? Are we going back where Cantona and Pallister scored? I don't know if that's 96, 97, is it? Where Pallister and Cantona scored, possibly. For some reason, that's come straight to my mind. Pallister header. And I've got nothing on, by the way. And I can't Google and look at that. Is it 97? Pallister, Cantona, something. I might be completely wrong, but that sort of yes, it does seem like rain. I hope so. 2016. Premier League was a cup game. Martial. 2015. It was the year, but in women's. It was this year, but in the Women's Super League. Amazing. 2015. All we need is an entertaining game. He's going to look like Cousin It from Addams Family. I think he will. What's your opinion lineup on this weekend? I mean, Jesus. Jesus. Lineup. What do I think? After talking about it, so I think Lemens starts in goal. So I think we've got Lemens. I think Lemens starts in goal. I think he probably goes Mazraoui, thinking about it. I think he goes Mazraoui. I think he goes Delo. I think he goes Luke Shaw, Yoro, and De Ligt. And then I think he goes Ugarte in the pivot. I think he goes Bruno in the pivot. I think he goes Mason Mount, Mbeumo, and Shesko. That's what I think he goes. Andrew says Berbatov Tevez 2008. First clue, third year, not as far back as that. I can't think, my friend. Scalperman says United are SHRT, gonna get battered, and they aren't even firing on all. Look, maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. I'm not here to disagree with you tonight. You're here to get in your opinions. I don't mind the banter, my friend, 100%. I agree. Look, Liverpool are beating sides this season. You look at the Newcastle game. Absolutely torn to shreds by 10 men. Newcastle were the better team. They deserve to win it. But look, when you've got a team like Liverpool have got, look, we're not as good. I can't disagree with you. Will we get spanked? I don't know. Liverpool depends on what team turns up. Even if it was when Mascherano lost the plot. Oh, was that the one where Mascherano got sent off? It's been a few times to beating 2-0, probably the Fergie years. Andrew, you're 2 years out. Second clue, he was a defender and a midfielder. John O'Shea. Probably O'Shea, because O'Shea used to love to pop out. 2004-5. John O'Shea and I'm just trying to think who would be around that time. John O'Shea and Keane. No, was Keane gone by then? John O'Shea and somebody. 2004, 2005. O'Shea might have been one of the scorers. Who was in around that time? I can't think. 2010, Giggs and Rio. Interesting. I actually don't think you even have a bad squad, but Amrin is shocking. I say this is a rival, but it's a shame to see an English established like United so badly run. Look, I think you've hit the nail on the head there, my friend. I think you've absolutely hit the nail on the head. Do I agree? The only part that I don't agree with is Amrin. I think Amrin has been shocking. The decisions that he makes are baffling. The only caveat that I'm going to say to that is he hasn't had his players, but there are many arguments that as fans can have about how he's not improved players. I'm not here to push my opinion on people, and I think you make fantastic points. But I do agree that we are badly run. We are, I'd much prefer to. I think the Premier League is better with a competitive United in it. I do, and I think you're right. I think it's an absolute shame, but big clubs have fallen before. Can you save me from dangerous? Don't know. I have a memory of Rio going brat to the crowd. Oh my God, telly in the pub lost its life that day. Can you save me from dangerous? You're going on the naughty spot because spam in the chat does not. Would Lissandro start? No. He doesn't. IG Reels. I think he's a game away. Maybe we get a surprise. Guy says Vidic and Giggs. My boy here looks like an old Keanu Reeves with short hair. Mate, you're being. It is, mate. You've been extremely kind to me tonight. I will take that. I'll take that. I mean, Jesus. I mean, Christ. You guys tonight have been extremely kind to me tonight. So, thank you. The other thing I wanted to talk about and get in on this one, as I've mentioned today, breaking story from the United stand. Big shout out to them today. This is not their story. So Jacobs Ben on X, check him out. So Ben goes on there. He's on Talk Sport and all that sort of stuff as well. So he broke it on there as an exclusive. So big up to them. 100%. That the company, the UAE consortium, who are basically coming together to try to get the club, is the International Holding Company, or the IHC. Now, they are based in Abu Dhabi. Are you going to attend the Publix? Billy the Fish, my friend. Hilarious. I love it. Hilarious. Hilarious. Teddy Sheringham and Andy Cole 2-0 against Liverpool. I think O'Shea got one of the goals. I do. I think O'Shea got one of the goals. And who else would have scored the other goal? Midfielder. Carrick and O'Shea. Or was Carrick here after that? I don't know. My prediction on the match is 7.5. Bloody hell. I mean, Jesus. It was 2006 goals in Rio. No cookies. Oh man, shocking, mate. Shocking. No cookies for me. Shocking, mate. Absolutely awful. My prediction on the match, blimey, Kelvin. I mean, you look, Kelvin, mate. You've gone in. I love this. You've gone into some proper stuff here. My prediction on the match is 7.5 shots on target, over 1.5 goals, over 3.5 corners, half time, 6.5 corners, full time. There will be a VAR check. Kelvin, stick on a bet. Stick on a bet, my friend. I mean, that is very, very precise. Give it a go. I'm selling pebbles £5 each or 3 for 10. Also bags of gravel. I love it, Billy. I love it, my friend. It is hilarious. So, back to the matter at hand. Hilarious. Yeah, 100%. So the IHC, so International Holding Company, who are apparently the consortium who are going after the club. Now, this was confirmed by Ben, and these are based in the Abu Dhabi, UAE. As we know, Abu Dhabi is city, so it's going to be the UAE. Now, they are one of the most valuable companies. He's a very naughty boy. Monty Python there for you. And one of the most valuable companies listed on the ADX. Now, they were founded in 1998. Headquarters in, as we just said, the chairman Sheikh Tahoon bin Zayed Al Nahyan. Thank you, Billy the Fish. CEO Saeed Basar Shoaib. Basically worth around, and this is a market cap, by the way, worth 240 billion. Now, this is where it gets interesting as to what we've been talking on here, whether this is a sale or an investment piece. When I say investment, I'm talking about a triple threat here of a combination of UAE, combination of the Glazers and Sir Jim working as a big friendly group, and the skills that they can. JB, please knock up Blue Nose for me, mate. VAR will be involved in the game, I can assure you. Blue Nose, what's his name? Thought you were putting a spell on us. The big question is sale or investment, and this is what we'll talk about now for a bit. I've already done a pretty in-depth show on that. So my initial reaction to this, based on the Glazers, based how they behave, based on the news that Freight-Line are probably they're going to get that land as well. You know, Freight-Line, and this will make you laugh as well. And this goes to show for me and epitomizes the Glazers and how fucking scummery they are, right? So bearing in mind the Glazer family, okay, they bought this club on leveraged debt. They never put a penny in of their own cash, right? Bought this on debt. This club is worth around about £2.5 billion, okay? They want £5 billion. So they don't want the fair value. Now, the value here, the fair price is important here. So they want more than the value of this club, a fair value for this club. So that it's worth £2.5 billion, but they want 5, right? Now, and I want you to keep in mind the value that's fair, okay? Bearing in mind they don't pay any tax here. They don't. This club's going to be worth £5 billion. Do you know that a club is already $1 billion in debt, mate? You want to try £1.2 billion. Not, mate, when you factor in the transfers, it's £1.2 billion. So bearing in mind, I forgot the birthday must have gone all right because you haven't got no black eyes. It did, my friend Wayne. it didn't like. All I'm going to say is the missus went to sleep early. It's her birthday. She's entitled to. I did all right. I did all right on presents. Did all right on food. Watched the movie. All good. All good. So I did well. The boy did well, and yeah. So no smashed eyes. It's all good, my friend. So thank you, and good memory as well. So a fair value. Now this is really, really important to me. Is that so? The Glazers pay no tax. The Glazers have put a penny into this club. They haven't paid it. Cooked a turkey. I don't know if that's a euphemism for something. I didn't cook a turkey in either sense. And I did. What did I make? I did a Moul's mariniere. So basically, I did a fancy meal, and it was all good. Wine, the whole shebang. Glazers ringing as much of this deal as they possibly can. Surprised they are so cutthroat. JB definitely got his leg over. Dino, on this occasion, mate, I didn't, my friend. I know as much as I was smooth mover, she was tired. It happens. It happens to the best of us. What can I say? I basically I love it. I love it, Dino. Not on this occasion, mate. Not on this occasion. But there'll be other birthdays, there'll be other times, so Christmas is around the corner, maybe, then, but let's see, there'll definitely be some jokes around then. So fair value. You have started. Scott is in the house. What's good, JB? Scott, I hope your daughter had a birthday today. I hope she had a fantastic one today. I hope she got spoiled. So welcome, my friend. But yeah, I hope her birthday today was really, really good. Yeah, welcome to the chat. So the fair value of the club. So Freight want or quoted £400 million. Now, in a capitalist society, as we speak about here, you should be able to, it's your land and you can sell it for whatever you like. Now, bearing in mind that when this refurbishment is going to be built, it's going to be worth billions and billions of pounds. They're talking about building 16, I think this is right, 16,000 homes, right? So it's going to be an absolute behemoth of a site. Now, rightly so, much like the Glazers when they sell this club for £5 billion, or that is the plan, that they basically want future money. So they want £2.5 billion for something that they're not going to build. Now, Freightliner want basically the same, because what they're saying is, look, you're going to get this land, and then this land, when you do this, is actually going to be worth billions of pounds. The Glazers do not want to do that. The Glazers are going to basically put a compulsory sell audit in and going to force the government for this company to sell their land at a fair price. So they're going to basically use the government, use Sir Jim to basically force them to sell at a super low price. So they'll get the value of what it's worth. And this is who we're dealing with. So when we're talking about, so Jay Hughes says, Ekatike, Billy the Fish says, how do United fans feel about what's happening with Aston Villa banning the fans from Israel? Club, I think, is disgusting. I'm not getting into the politics, my friend. If it was my club, then I maybe have something to say. It's not for me to comment on. Ekatike, great player. So when we're talking about investment and when we're talking about sale, I am leaning towards investment. But when we're looking at the skill set that IHC bring, they bring in real estate, construction, financial services, technology, logistics. They're big in hospitality and media. So whatever they play a part in, they're equipped. They are equipped to deal with whatever needs to be done. Now, second part to this is what they're worth. Now, the financial highlights from 2023: revenue is 6.4 billion, net income of 7.5 billion, and total assets of 455 billion pounds. Now, when we're talking about, and I did a video as to why Sir Jim can't buy this club, is that Ineos, again, their rating has plummeted to a BB, which sounds good, but it's not. There's a freeze on taking any money out of the club for the shareholders. They're not in a great state. They're 13 billion pounds in debt now. IHC are not in any debt. Revenue 16.4 billion. That's the income just for 2023. Net income 7.5 billion, and they're worth 455 billion compared to Ineos's 66. So we're talking about a powerhouse here. So if we can get this together, and Cantona apparently is being lined up to front this as well. So let's see what happens. Club. So so Jay says Isak and Ekitike up front will be too much. Look, Jay, with Luke Shaw in that back three, I mean, who knows? Who knows? All I'm going to say is Liverpool haven't been too much for anybody right now. But I think the international break has come at the best time, and we may get a different Liverpool come out after the break. This game, for me, totally depends on Liverpool and how they come out. If we have Isak, Ekitike, Salah firing on form, there is nothing that we can do. Unless Luke Shaw goes back 10 years, if Liverpool come out, as I expect them to, they will blow us away. There's nothing that we can do. If Liverpool come out like they have been in the last couple of games, there's a chance. There's a very, very slim chance of a win. And I mean, we're talking like 4%. That's just a random guess that I plucked out my arse. Look, Jay, I think a draw is our best bet here. I'm hoping for a Liverpool not being great. Dalglish and Rush are now too much for United defence. I don't disagree. I think what was his name? So Rosenthal. I think he'd be too much for our defence. Kelvin said the club shouldn't play old man Bruno, Maguire, Shaw, Casemiro. They should switch to young blood. The problem is, Kelvin, you can't switch to youth players, mate. I think there's a misconception about youth players, mate. You need, and I'm not saying that these players, I'm just saying that you need experience in that team, and then you bring young players through. Mate, there's no team in the world really that bring through players super young. I mean, we did it, but these guys were 20, and they were coming into the likes of Roy Keane. They were coming in with the likes of, Neville come in when he was like 18, 19. His first season wasn't great, and then he kicked on again. But, we're talking about these guys who had Schmeichel. Neville had Schmeichel there. He had so many defenders, so many experienced guys in there. I think he had Jaap Stam in there as well. So many experienced. He had Johnson. May. He had all these players in there as well. Scholesy come through when he was 20, 21, I think. Wasn't amazing in his first season, but again, Beckham came into the squad and then went on loan and then come back as well. So it wasn't like these players just come into this team and were expected to be the new stars. They were embedded into the team, and they were surrounded by experienced players, and then that's why they got better. When you're training, imagine you're training with the likes of Roy Keane. You're training with the likes of Schmeichel, Johnson, Giggsy at that time was established, Kanchelskis is, you had all these Lee Sharps, you had all these guys in there like Andy Cole, Dwight York, you had all these guys in there, these senior pros, and then you bring in these kids, So look, whilst I don't disagree with you, I think we should bring in some young players, but this is not the game to do it, my friend. Ever speak Ugarte, Royal, what of Mainu, Sakamorin? You are speaking so defeatist, but we should keep the manager. Honestly, we're screwed. Look, I'm not defeatist, and I get the point. I do get the point, but I'm not defeatist. I'm a realist, right? How many times have these players let us down? I am not saying sack the manager. I'm hammering in. I am manager in. Where I'm hammering out, I'll be consistent on this, right? I will be hammering out when Amarin puts his own agenda and his own what he wants before the fans and before the club. That is when I'm hammering out. At the moment, I don't think he is. I think he's doing the best with the things that he's got. I am not defeatist. There's a fine line. But are you telling me that with this team that you've seen, that we're going to go to Anfield and win? Look, I am not defeatist, but I also don't have lovey and stars in my eyes, right? I know what this team is. You cannot trust this team. So I don't trust the team. I don't trust it. Until this team can prove to me that I trust. I don't entirely trust the manager. Until he stops making baffling substitutions, baffling things, I just don't trust this whole toxicity right now. I want the manager to succeed. I also have to accept that the manager might not be the right guy. Amrin may never get his squad. If we were bought, are the new owners going to keep him? Probably not. So look, right now we just don't know. Right now is another time where we just don't know. So I'm not being defeatist, but I also need to be true to myself and be real. On the possible investment, would United own the stadium? So right, so this is where my opinion goes based on this, is that you could have a situation. Ibrahim account, I'm very well. Hi, what's up? I'm very well, my friend. Ferguson should come into coaching instead of Amarin, who lose every single match. Ferguson's too old, my friend. So, Dino, this is just my opinion, and I'm sure you're going to tell me that I'm mad on this. You could have a situation whereby IHC come in and they buy the debt. Okay, they buy the debt and they build the stadium. They get the infrastructure around it, and they could spend £3 to £4 billion. Now you'd say, why would anybody want to buy debt? That's a really stupid thing to do. Now, the reason why you would buy that debt is ultimately you'd put it into the cost. So let's just say they built the stadium, they bought the debt, and it will come to £4 billion. They would break even on that debt. By the time you think they're going to build 16,000 homes, I believe, infrastructure around it, the shops, the retail, the concerts, everything around it is going to generate hundreds of thousands of pounds. They would also get rid of the debt. So basically means it would take the shackles off of the club, and the club would make more money. Sometimes, if you clear debt, the money that you get actually becomes more because you cleared the you're able to spend more money, right? Or you're able to bring in some more money. So even though they could buy their debt, they will make so much money that they will wipe their face. That debt will be cleared. They will absolutely probably make money on that debt, and they'll make so much money, and they could even lease the stadium back to the club. So it could be a situation where they could do like a 100-year lease, right? And it could just be that, because from an accounting perspective as well, they have to pay some sort of rent. So, and I think it's like the difference between, and I mean, leases are massive things, right? So it could be, it's like the difference between the fair value and something else. So they could end up basically paying a minimal amount of money to UAE for 100 years. So we could have a situation where it's actually the benefit of them to come in to clear the debt, to come in to buy the stadium and maybe own 30% of the club. They're going to make billions. They're going to make billions. So that £3 billion that they can invest, that £4 billion, it will literally be worth 4 times that amount of money. So, that's where we could be. That is where we could be. Ugarte is now behaving like Casemiro. Can he be trusted? Nope. Norman Watson was a good player, but retired young. 7 up again. Oh, so I hope he's not. Is United regretting letting Cristiano leave? No. The guy's 40 odd. No. 3-0 Liverpool. Interesting. Again, getting in your opinions. United should have signed Harry Kane 3 years ago. I don't disagree, but we still wouldn't have had the team around him, and he would have been very, very expensive. And there's no way that Levy would have let us sign him. 100% no. But do most managers get their players? I believe 11 months is enough for any manager to turn things around. Now, that's a very, very good point. But my caveat to that is when you hire a manager, at least make sure he plays your bloody system. And I think that's probably more for it than me. And what I mean by it, does he get his players? What we've got to understand about this squad is a mishmash of players. This squad is a mishmash of other coaches' players. There are at least 3 to 4 managers, sets of players here. And then when you, on top of that, bring in a coach that doesn't play the system, these players play a 4-3-3 or some sort of 4-3-3. This manager. So when we're talking about a system, I'm talking about if you bring in a coach that plays a back 3 you've never played before, you need players for his system, and these players don't play the system. So whilst I agree with you, most managers don't. I disagree. If you look at Arsenal, Arteta got the majority of his players. Chelsea, Maresca, any coach has been there. They've spent a couple of billion. They got their players. Pep got all of his players. Liverpool, Slot has been signed 5-6 players. So I sort of disagree with you on that one, because if you are looking at players, all of these top teams have actually got their players. Chelsea spent billions. Liverpool spent close to £500 million on getting 4-5 players. City have bought a whole new team a couple of times. So, City bought 6 players, 5-6 players. So I sort of disagree on that one. Even though they have Shesko and Burma, they didn't do anything on the pitch. Maybe if they signed Osman, United is in trouble this season. Well, maybe we are. At the moment, we're not. I agree. Ineos messed up. Ineos have a real part to play in the problem. No one talking about Verts flopping. Exactly. But guys, on that note, I am going to go. Amazing show. 2 hours. The time just flies by. Because I get into the chat and you guys do provide an amazing show. So thank you. As I always say, this channel is nothing without you guys. I did look at the goals as well. The only problem is I can't put anything together with the goals because the quality is so poor. Not because it's your fault, but just because of the way that they're sent. Can't do anything with the goals, I'm afraid. I I did get the picture. It's a very, 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 very cool picture. I might put that up actually as well. Martinez, you're the only defenders I trust right now. Dean says, another great show. Thank you, my friend. These are the best shows. I love these shows. We go down all sorts of holes, but yeah, we do. And I'm going to say this tonight. I think this is really, really important to say tonight. Particularly with the news of Hatton tonight. That I can't say yes, Scott. Watch along this weekend, Sunday. I will be doing a watch along on Sunday for this match. We can commiserate or cheer together. I think what's really important, and this is why I say the things that I say at the end of these shows, is because it's really, really important. The way that Ricky Hatton went is horrendous. Mental health is a real issue. As I've said before, I suffer from it. I do have a condition. I've been there. I've been to a point where I didn't want to be here anymore. And I was very, very lucky, very, very, very fortunate. And there are people like Ricky Hatton who, for whatever reason, don't manage to get that help. Many, many people, don't manage to get that help. And that there are. I'm very, very lucky, and there are many, many people who have it worse than me. But it doesn't really, really matter. Mental health touches so many people. It doesn't matter how like Ricky Hatton. It doesn't matter how successful you are. It doesn't matter how famous you are. It can impact so many people. So this is why I always say this, is that in life. You can't buy time, and you can't get time back. You cannot buy health, mental health or health. So that's why I always thank you guys for being here, because you've got families, you've got places to be. And yeah, Ricky, guys, I mean, I think, yeah, guys, I think the sort of end of this show is for Ricky Hatton. Legend he is. So I just want to say that it's really important that we talk about this stuff, and this is what I do appreciate you guys, because you never know what's going to happen tomorrow, and this is why I'll always thank you guys, because I may never get another chance. Anything could happen, and you may never get that chance again. So this is why I always thank you guys, because you guys make the channel. You guys just are the channel. So yeah, so I really mean it, guys. Thank you so much for being here, spending time with me, spending a minute, a second, 2 hours, an hour here, guys. Absolutely phenomenal. So Ricky Hatton, rest in peace, my friend. I will be back tomorrow, no doubt. I'll be back at some point tomorrow, probably similar time tomorrow in terms of the afternoon show. Thank you, Dino. Thank you, guys. Legends. And I mean this. Thank you again so much for being here. You guys are legends, 100%. So I'm going to go. Have a good rest of your morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you are. I'll be back tomorrow. And yeah, thank you so much again, guys. And have a good one. I'll be back tomorrow. So take care of yourselves and families. I'll be back on the next one. See you soon.